And hi guys, it's me yet again, Doc B, and back again to talk about being a casino companion. Yay! All right. So once again, guys, this is a short little series where I just talk about what it's like to be a casino companion, which is to say a person who goes to casinos, but mostly in support of somebody who actually really enjoys them. So it could be your spouse, could be a friend, relative, but you're a companion, right? And that's kind of where this session goes. And we talk about, um, well, what's going on in casinos and um, investing in casinos. So making some money potentially on what your companion is doing, and just what the whole experience is like. Okay, if you're that kind of person. All right. So do feel free to contact me again, Casino Companions on Facebook, or contact me at casinocompanions@gmail.com. All right. And yes, guys, we are incredibly low budget. There's no second takes. There's no editing. It's just me. Okay. So there we go. Today, guys, what I wanted to do is take on. There's a number of dark topics. All right. I don't know if I really mean dark, but topics which are sort of deep, all right, and kind of have a negative side to them, all right. And so we've kind of already alluded to a few of them, all right. So number one, yeah, kids in casinos. How do you handle that? What's okay to show kids? What's okay to talk about kids about casino gambling? All right, that's definitely one where you can head down some sort of bad side to it. All right. So we talked a little bit about that one already. I'm sure we'll come back to it because it's one of these topics you sort of have to talk about. All right. So kids at casinos, that's definitely big. Um, Family perceptions or friends perceptions of casino gambling. That one we really haven't touched on too much. Maybe I need to put that on my list of things we'll talk about. Um, so, but yeah, how other people around you, your work companions and friends, family may perceive of this hobby of your companion. All right, uh, and we've already definitely talked about uh, the degenerate side. Remember that vocabulary word a long time ago, degenerate side, um, where it is possible for your companion to get addicted, right, and potentially put themselves in a very bad place, which can put you in a very bad place. So we've talked about that a little bit already. All right. So today, guys, we're going to take on another one of those. Okay. So sort of the fourth of the big bad topics, and that's going to be gambling and religion. Okay. Now, guys, the usual rule here is the usual rule in society is don't bring up religion, right? Because there's nothing better to get people screaming at you than to say something which may offend one or more religions or lack of religions. Somebody always gets offended. Okay. And that may happen here. Do I really care? Not really. I'll probably just ignore any of the nasty emails. I'm very good at that. Um, but what I want to talk about right here is okay, as a companion, again, you're not really the person that's into the gambling, but uh, how does this fit into your religious beliefs or lack of them? Okay, so how does this really fit into that? And indirectly, of course, that feeds into family and so forth. So, okay, let's talk then about major religions. Okay, so running down the quick list, the big four in the world. Um, I'm not saying it's all of them, but the big four would, of course, be Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and finally Buddhism/Hinduism. Okay, and I know those of you that are Buddhist or Hindu are probably screaming at me right now that those two should not be merged. Um, I'm going to put them together for the present purposes because I'm an American and we have limited experience with Buddhism and Hinduism, and our perception, quite frankly, is out of whack with the reality that I know of. So, anyways, we got those things, and I know there are other religions out there, guys. So these are just the ones that are definitely big, especially here in the United States. You'll definitely run into all these. All right, so how do these religions perceive gambling? Casino gambling included in that, but gambling in general. All right. And this is where you get into, is gambling a sin? Okay. So sin being something you're not supposed to do, or something which incurs guilt, um, puts you in debt to the deity. Um, it is something bad. All right. So is gambling a sin? All right. The rough answer, according to all the major religions, is yes. All right. And that's why these things are gambling stocks in general are called sin stocks, right? Because they are um, stocks, companies which deal in something which is perceived as being non-agreed upon by religion. All right. So all of these things, all these major religions take a rather dim view of gambling. Now, is that in general? I mean, in general, that is true. Okay, just in general, you run down the whole list, pretty much all of them disapprove of gambling. Um, whether they call it a sin or not is iffy. It varies a little bit from place to place and within these things. All right, so in general, um, uh, definitely Judaism, Islam, okay, and through them, of course, Christianity. All right, also perceive it as something which is not good, all right, and can be considered sinful. So, where does that leave you? All right, well, first off, let's backtrack it. Um, so, what can why? So, why? Now, if you actually run down the line, um, if you look in particularly Judaism and Christianity, there's nowhere in the Old Testament, New Testament, there's really nowhere in particular which says that gambling is horrible and banned. Um, there are places where it says, yes, it's not good. All right, you can find those. But it's not like some of the other things. And in fact, Judaism spends way more time discussing dietary rules and things which you're allowed to eat and not eat than it ever says about gambling. So why are these religions then anti-gambling? All right, and here's where you got to step back. All right, and perceive it from the viewpoint of these religions and religious people. Okay, why are they against gambling? And it's because it is something which is perceived as being anti-family. All right. So in general, these religions are very much about making a family unit and holding it together. All right. It's pretty much standard. I mean, there's so many rules and regulations within these religions about marriages um, and marriage contracts. Um, and what does that mean? Um, and holding things together as a family unit. Okay, and then the family unit, of course, making up the larger community, including the religious community. So the perception, the sort of side that these religions are coming after then is that gambling can be anti-family, right? And if you think, all right, and I don't need you screaming right now, just think for a few moments. There's some reality to that, right? There is some reality because gambling by its definition is basically it's an adult thing. All right. Yeah, kids may gamble a little bit, but from what we're talking about, it's an adult centered activity. All right. And as such, it's something which takes you out of the framework of family in the sense of a larger unit, including children. Right. So you're stepping away from family and into your sort of self-centered enjoyment. And this is something which pretty much all the major religions warn you not to do. And it's not just gambling, it's all kinds of activities that kind of puts you into this I enjoy this on my own thing. Um, if you're being selfish about your pleasures, then it's probably in the list of things you shouldn't be doing according to these major religions. So that is very much where these things are coming from, is that by gambling, you are being selfish, looking after only your own pleasure, okay, and not considering the larger family unit, which is what religion is designed to protect. All right. So there's a reason why they have these sort of feelings and strictures. All right. The other side, which we've already briefly alluded to, is that it can be very destructive to the family unit. All right, particularly if addiction is involved. All right, so uh, religion is also about the economic unit within the family. All right, so if one or more of the family members is gambling above the means of the family, um, ultimately this is not going to work out well, right? And the family is going to go down a deep path, um, which could involve debts and poverty and etc. All right. Um, so there again, you can understand why religions are against that, particularly because traditionally religions have been the major support network for families in trouble. All right. So at least in tradition, all right, when your family starts taking a deep dive into poverty due to gambling, for example, it would be the church community that would be expected to step up and help you. All right. And, you know, it's hard to justify always helping people that are really hurting themselves. All right. So that's kind of where these faiths are coming from, is this perception of um, things. Now, is gambling particularly anti-God? Okay, so this is where we got to be different. And I'm not a religious scholar. Okay, I'm not a theology person. All right, I've taken some classes, yes, but um, there's a difference between religion and God. Okay, or gods, depending on what faith you're coming from. Okay, but there's a difference. Religion is sort of that expression of our connection to God, right? So it's the community. We come together as a group to worship God and live within whatever restrictions God has put on us. All right. So we are the community. That's religion. God is God. All right. And all the people in the religious community are encouraged to make a relationship with God. All right. How that's done depends on the faith. All right. It can be following strict rules. It can be prayer. It can be all kinds of meditation. It can be all kinds of different ways that you're making a connection to God. Okay. And yeah, I'm not going to go down that whole line about Buddhists and Hinduism and I'm not going down that line about whether they have a God or not. That's not, I'm not going there right now. But the point is that there's a difference between your expression with religion and then God. So does God disapprove of gambling? All right. Is gambling something which disconnects you from God? Okay. Now this is big, right? Think for a second. And your first answer might be, well, of course. I mean, especially since we're casino companions, right? So we don't gamble ourselves too much. All right. So the first answer goes back to what we said about religion. It's a selfish activity, right? It's seeking your own pleasure. So you would think that no, and it's a very fleshy pleasure, right? It's very much in the reality. So your first thought would be no. It's something which takes you away from God. But see, I'm gonna put a thought in your brain here, okay? And this is why I actually encourage you as a companion, go out and experience it yourself, just for a little while. You don't have to do it continuously. You don't have to go for hours and hours and hours, but go into a casino and actually try it, okay? And what I'm gonna and then look around as you do it. Watch what's going on. See the experience, all right? Because if you do that, you'll actually realize, at least I realized over time, that in a way, Gambling is a connection between people and God. Okay, and I know that sounds weird. Okay, and I know. But when I see people gambling, very often it's a form of prayer, right? That these people are taking their resources, their money, and they're kind of just giving it, letting it go, and just kind of accepting God's will, whether it be a slot machine or the roll of a dice or the flip of cards. You're accepting either win or loss um, coming to you, not really based on your own personal merit. All right. Um, and very often it's with an almost prayerful um, way. I mean, I've seen slot players, I've seen table game players literally pray when they're making a, a bet. All right. So in a way, it's to some gamblers, it's almost a form of church when they go in to play. All right. Um, because they will accept that they're not controlling their own destiny. All right. That they're putting themselves at the mercy of nature and God in a way. All right. Now, does that mean if you lose, God hates you? Some of them would actually say yes. I've seen plenty of gamblers walking out saying that. Um, I think most people say no, that's not necessarily true. We understand it's risk and so forth. Um, and in some ways, much like religious faith has had to try to explain horrible, bad things that have happened in history to good people, it's perfectly possible for a good person to lose. And maybe that's a message in itself. All right. It's a way to um, make your faith stronger in a way, uh, to again realize that it's not so much always going to be working out for you. There's bigger things going on. So when I go in a casino, yeah, there is kind of, I mean, to me, there is a population in there that it is almost a church experience. All right. That they are riding that sea of risk, uh, and in some ways trying to steer it a little bit by making an invocation to God. Okay. Um, Now, at the same time, is that always true? No, I've seen plenty of people who are just out there to have a good time. All right, they're just drinking, and they are being selfish. They're just living the pleasure. Okay, they're not thinking of anything beyond that. So I'll put out to you though, doesn't that also match exactly what you see when you go to church? And you're like, whoa, where are you going with this? Okay, go to church. Okay, which I do, by the way. So I'm a church person. So I go to church, and I do see some of the people there are truly spiritual, that they're there to make a connection to God, and to also follow the strictures and make a relationship with the people around them because it's the right thing to do according to religion. Okay, so God flowing through religion, make a community together. They are there to do that. All right. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, but they are definitely there. Okay. Now, at the same time, I see a lot of people in church that are, that's not really their main reason for being there. All right. They're there either because they think they have to be, right, because of their spouse is dragging them. So the sort of church companions. Uh, so they're doing it because they think they have to, or it's for social image. All right. That for whatever their business requires them to look like they are a good church person. So they're there for that. Um, they're there because they just think it's the rules, and or they don't want to get in an argument with family members. So they're basically just there to avoid crisis. Okay, they're not really trying to be a member of the community, and they're not really trying to make a relationship with God. They're there for these sort of periphery reasons. All right, and okay, I'll even put out there are some people who just go for the entertainment. I know that sounds horrible to describe church going as entertainment, but it can be. All right, maybe you're there because the preacher gives a very good sermon, a very entertaining sermon. All right, so you just want to go and hear that. Or maybe your church is one of these ones that has, flashy lights and videos and good singing. I mean, I have known so many people who go to church just because they enjoy the singing. Okay. Does that connect you directly to God? See, I'd say no, it's entertainment. All right, you're there to be entertained. All right. That's exactly what you see in a casino. All right. That there are people that are living it, and then there are people who are just there for the entertainment. All right. Now we can argue about the ratios of different numbers of people and so forth. So forth. I'm not going to go there right now, but I just want to put that out to you guys that go into a casino and look around, really look around, and then do the same thing in church. And I think you'll see similarities. All right. Maybe it's just my perception. Now, where I've not gone today, guys, is to talk about sort of the practical details. You're a companion. All right. So there are some religious faiths, evangelical Christianity, fundamental Islam, Orthodox Judaism, that definitely take a dim view of gambling or have said it's just totally sinful. All right. So in that case, you as a companion are in a kind of a bad situation. All right. Because that means your community, the people that you want to be involved with, your religious compatriots, are not going to approve of what your companion is doing. Right. And by supporting them, to these people, you are not supporting your community. Okay. So what then? Well, that's where it does get dark, right? And that's where you have to make a serious decision. Where do you stand? All right. And that's when you need to have a serious discussion with your companion. All right. And they may even have to make a choice, gambling or you. All right. So that is sort of a dark side, right? But as a companion, it's an issue which you need to take on. All right. And it's important that you have your own view, that you're just not automatically doing what other people tell you to do. But it's also important that you are comfortable with your religion and with your relationship with God. All right. So all these things do connect together. All right, guys. So that was sort of a long, convoluted little discussion today. But it's a topic which I've sort of been bubbling around in my brain for a while that we need to talk about. All right. So with that said, guys, hopefully get out there, have a great time. Remember, we are Casino Companions. Find me on Facebook, send me an email. Don't try to convert me to your religion, please. I'm perfectly happy with mine. And go out there and just be the best companion you can be.